You ever get the feeling your life's about to be ripped up and rewritten by people you've never even met? Yeah, that happened to me. Right here, in the house I built with my own hands. Way out past where the pavement turns to gravel, and the only thing more stubborn than the rocks in the yard is me. 5 years I spent out here, pouring every last drop of sweat into this place. Every board nailed down with the kind of pride only a fool or a Donnelly could manage. I figured I'd earned a little peace and quiet. Turns out, all I earned was a front row seat to the wildest fight of my life. One that started with a single, smug little envelope from the Red Eagle Ridge Homeowners Association. I wasn't a member, never planned to be, never so much as nodded at their mailbox newsletters when I drove by the edge of the development. My dad made damn sure this land would stay off the grid. No bylaws, no color charts, no neighborhood watch peering through binoculars at your front porch. I liked it that way. But here it was, right in my hands, a thick letter, gold embossed, threatening fines if I didn't hand over keys and submit to some Structure 84 inspection. Structure 84 was my house. The only thing unified about Red Eagle Ridge, if you ask me, was their ambition. That morning, toast burned in the kitchen, and I just sat there at the table, staring at that letter like it might sprout legs and walk itself right into the wood stove. The deed for this place was framed on my office wall, signed by the county, notarized, witnessed, and sealed back when my father left it to me. I knew every inch of the boundaries, could walk them blindfolded, and never stray past the ridge where their subdivision officially ended. So how the hell did I end up on their radar? I tried to call the number on the letter. All I got was an automated maze, and then straight to voicemail. Karen Browning, director. My message was about as friendly as a rattlesnake in a mailbox. I knew right then, this wasn't a mistake. I drove into town, straight to the county records. The plat overlays now had a thin red line curling over my lot. Some Project 84 integration dated 3 years back. The clerk shrugged. Developer overlay, not binding. Not unless there's an ordinance. She didn't look surprised. I left with more questions than answers, the kind that keep you awake nights. 2 days passed. Then, a second letter. This time hand-delivered, bright white, screaming final notice. Non-compliance, daily fines, legal action, all for refusing their safety review. Before I could finish cursing out loud, a black SUV with the HOA logo parked at my gate. 3 people climbed out, 2 uniformed muscle and Karen Browning herself, sunglasses, clipboard, every inch the queen bee. And then they opened my gate with a key. My key. That did it. I stormed down the path, heart pounding so hard I could barely speak. Karen greeted me like I was late to my own execution. Scheduled inspection, Mr. Donnelly, she said, flipping her clipboard, voice like sandpaper dipped in honey. You're trespassing, I told her. And where the hell did you get that key? She smiled, said it was part of their community access ordinance. I laughed so hard it probably echoed all the way to the county line. I said nobody steps inside without a warrant. She tried to bury me under paperwork, quoting codes and subsections, acting like I was the one in the wrong. I called the sheriff. She didn't blink. Deputy Harris showed up, a good man, knew my dad, knew this property. He listened to Karen's whole act, then flat out told her she had no jurisdiction, no standing, no legal ground to stand on. Unless you've got a court order, he said, leave. Karen didn't take it well. She spat threats over her shoulder as they left, but I could tell I'd rattled her cage. Still, the worst part was knowing they'd had a copy of my key. Someone gave it to them. Someone I trusted. I started digging. Old files, blueprints, emails. That's when I remembered Randy Cross, the freelancer who'd done some 3D renders years ago. Met him at a diner. Turns out, after I let him go, he bundled my plans into a sample pack and shopped them to clients, including, he admitted, a firm working with HOAs. Hartwell Group. He never thought it'd go anywhere. Well, guess what, Randy? It did. He gave me a full confession, dates, emails, the works, on tape. My lawyer, Teresa Baker, was sharp as broken glass, and just as dangerous if you crossed her. She dug up the HOA's permit filings. Your father signed a development agreement in 2019, she read, deadpan. My dad died in 2018. Forgeries, sloppy, lazy, signed with a hand that hadn't drawn breath in a year. We filed an injunction, cease and desist, the whole legal kitchen sink. But the next night, someone tried to break in. Caught them on camera, Clipboard, camera crew, the whole performance, trying to look official. I called Harris. He was just as tired of their games as I was. But they kept coming, more notices, more threats, more late-night markers staked into my soil. Then came the demolition order. Flatbed truck, bulldozer, 2 men in safety vests at my front gate. Removal of unapproved structure, they called it. I blocked the ramp with my truck and dared them to start their engine. Harris showed up just in time, read the fraudulent permit, and told them they so much as scratched the paint, he'd haul them in. That was the moment I realized they weren't just after me. They were after everything, and they were used to getting away with it. As we built the case, the connections came into focus. Fake overlays signed by city planners who vanished after approving permits. Zoning amendments filed by Russell Trapp, cousin to a former city employee, buddy to Karen. Forensic experts proved the signature on the HOA's key documents was lifted from a 2007 deed, copy-pasted onto a 2019 application. Local media got wind of it. Neighbors started talking. Turns out I wasn't the only one. They'd gobbled up properties like this before, every time someone died or left the county for a care home. Court day looked like the Super Bowl for property disputes. Karen, pressed and powdered in her baby blue suit, lawyer at her side, acted like it was all a misunderstanding. Teresa laid out everything: the forged signatures, the falsified overlays, the digital edits to my blueprints, the demolition attempt, the connection between the Trapp family and Browning's company. Then, we dropped the bomb. Audio from an old HOA board meeting, Karen's voice crystal clear. If he won't surrender, bury him in paperwork. Get it registered as ours. Dead silence in the courtroom. The judge granted a full injunction. City ordered to cough up every permit, every overlay, every bit of paperwork. That night, they tried to torch my workshop. Didn't get far, but the scorch marks on my wall told me they were getting desperate. Trail cams caught their faces. One of the HOA board, no less. Arson. The local press exploded. City records proved this was a pattern, not a fluke. More families came forward. Some had already lost their land to similar scams. The final hearing felt less like justice and more like a reckoning. Prosecutors showed up. The city's own audit flagged Russell Trapp for serial fraud, fake overlays, bogus permits, signatures from the dead, all tied to Browning Design Solutions. It was organized, deliberate, and ugly. My testimony wasn't a speech, just the facts. I built that house. My father taught me. They tried to steal it with a pen and a lie. The jury didn't take long. Guilty, civil fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and, for Karen, criminal solicitation of arson. They awarded me nearly $4 million, ordered the HOA dissolved, barred the board from office for a decade. Karen got 12 years. I walked out not feeling victorious so much as tired, finally allowed to breathe. You know, you don't win peace with a lawsuit. I rebuilt the fence, welded a plaque on the front door. 5 years labor, 1 courtroom, forever mine. They call it Fort Donnelly now. I started a blog and a podcast, spoke at conferences, met other landowners who'd nearly lost everything to the same kind of backroom corruption. Turns out, I wasn't just fighting for myself. The house stands. My father's signature is back where it belongs, on the inside, not stolen for someone else's gain. As for Karen, well, she gets to admire my handiwork from her cell. Concrete, 8 by 12, no blueprint required. So, tell me, where do you stand on all this? Ever had a neighbor or an HOA try to strong-arm you out of what's yours? Drop your story below, argue justice, or just vent. I'll be reading, and so will everyone who knows what it's like to fight for a home.